Hello there, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be diving into some more Rednet. We're going to go a bit more in depth and dedicate the entire episode to just that. I know we touched on this a bit before when working on our mining turtles, but we're actually going to go through the different functions we have available to us and also go through some examples of how we can use it and make it useful. So first things first, let's cover this little setup I have here. I have 3 clients. And you'll notice they all have modems on top, and they are red, which means that they are open and ready for business. And then we have one server here. It also has a modem on top, but it is black. So first things first, let's cover how to open the modem. So when you place a modem on the computer, that is what it looks like. So in here, we will simply do Rednet open, and then the top, because that is what side the modem is on. So I'm going to run server and voila, it is now red. So let's cover how we actually send and receive data. In the server, I'm just going to do a while loop. So while true do, and we have our command rednet.receive. Now inside the parentheses, we can specify 2 different things. We can specify a protocol as well as an integer for the amount of time it will wait before it times out. We will start simply by not putting anything in there and just receive messages from anybody. Now there's some variables we're going to have to declare. We need ID and then message, and we'll set it equal. These variables can be anything, but that is the data we are collecting. The ID from the sender and then the message that it contains. Now we need to print out our ID and our message so we can see what is getting sent. Now, if we run this, it'll be waiting. So for the clients, we're going to need to do some rednet.send functions here. Let's do send. Now, actually, before we do that, we need to know where we're sending it to. So I'm going to terminate this, and we need to grab the ID of this computer. We can do that just by doing ID, and it is computer number 4. So we're going to send it to computer number 4, and then a string for our message. I'm just going to say, hi, I'm client 1. Now I'm going to copy this and make all of them kind of send the same thing. There we go. So now they say client 2 and 3. Let's go ahead and run this again. And let's run all 3 of these. All right. So now let's look in the server. And look at that. We got 3 messages from different IDs. Now the IDs don't necessarily match which client number they are. That's, I guess, my own fault for not labeling them properly, but oh well, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we see that all 3 messages made it. Now let's go over what the protocol means. The protocol is actually another variable we can put in here, and in the receive, we can filter by protocol. So let's say I do tomato, and let's have client 2. We'll add another string here with tomato. Now, what do you think is going to happen if I run all 3 of these again? I'm going to clear this. Run it again, and let's rerun all these clients. Now, what do you think we're going to see on the screen? We only got 1 message from client 2, and that is because we are filtering for this tomato here. You can think of this as like a tag or a label. So it essentially just drops everything else. These messages never made it. Now we can also print the protocol that was sent. Let's go ahead and rerun this server here and send client 2 again. Now we can see tomato. So let's get rid of this while loop real fast, and I'll show you the little timeout. If we do a 5-second timeout, let's just go ahead and run this. Basically, it's going to wait for 5 seconds, and if it doesn't get anything, it's just going to stop. And you'll see it printed 3 nils because we got nothing. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. And let's go into some other stuff. So we can actually set this server as a host. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this and just do rednet host. Now this has 2 arguments, 2 strings. One is going to be, well, the first one is going to be a protocol. So I'm just going to say the protocol will be tomato, and the host name will be tomato server. So if we run it, it'll do something and then be done, and it is now the host. Now on any of the clients, we can actually look up the host. it is now being broadcasted, basically. By doing host, you're letting others find you via a lookup. It's kind of like a DNS. So let's do Rednet lookup, and we're going to look up the protocol as well as the host name. So I think it was server and tomato server, right? Nope, it was tomato. Okay, now on its own, it's not going to do anything. It's actually going to return the ID of the computer. So let's go ahead and print out whatever it returns. So I'm just going to run client 3. Oops. And we get 4. If you recall, that is the ID of the server computer. We can get rid of this and see what happens. You'll see it takes a while, but it does end up resolving. See what happens if we just do tomato server. You'll see that it did not resolve. So you're going to have to search it by protocol if you want to find it. Now, let's say you don't want to host anymore. You're ready to close for business. There is a handy dandy command called unhost. And for that, you just have to put the protocol. You don't have to worry about the host name. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. It is now no longer hosting as tomato. So if we run this again on client 3, it does not resolve. We can put in both the host name and the protocol this time just to ensure that it should work, and we get nil. Now let's say you don't want your modem on anymore. You're ready to just close down traffic in general. Well, instead of open, we just change this to close. And if we run this, it is now black. Let's run this again. We're running this without the modem on, so we can go ahead and try and send some messages. Nothing's getting through. Now, the last command I'm going to cover is the broadcast command. So let's say you want to send some data to every computer in the world. Well, you can with rednet.broadcast. It's like rednet.send, except you don't have to specify an ID. You just put your message. Hello, everyone. Let's not have that in a loop as well. That would be obnoxious. And instead, we're going to have to put our receive commands in all of the clients. Give me a second while I do that. All right, so I went ahead and put it in each of the clients. So let's run it. I'm gonna run client 1, client 2. Let's clear this out. Client 3, so they're all waiting. We run server. You'll see that, oh, you know what? The modem is not on. We need to turn that back on. There we go. Rednet open. Let's run it again. Bam. So you see the cursors are blinking. They're no longer waiting. And yep, the message went out to everybody. Now, what if you don't want it to go to everybody? Well, you should be able to answer this question. So we actually just talked about this. That is where the protocol comes in. So we can filter it in here. So I'm going to filter this one by tomato. And then if we do a second string, we can specify a protocol. We're going to do tomato. Since this is tomato, we can give this one a different one. Let's say lettuce. And this one can be hummus. So all of these are filtering for different protocols. We're going to send this message only through the tomato protocol. So theoretically, only client 2 should receive it. All right, so they're all waiting. Let's go ahead and send it. And as we can see, only client 2 is done waiting. So it got its message. The rest of these did not. Okay, so let's go into some examples of how we can use these commands. So I already showed you how to send messages between computers. You just have your receive on one end and your send on the other. But what if we want to structure our messages or have more data in them, like a table? You can actually send an entire table through Rednet as well. So for the server, we're going to put that while true in again. And this time we're going to receive some data here. And we're going to put in a conditional. We're going to say, we're just going to pretend like this is a turtle receiving a command. So we're going to say data. Actually, it might be, before we actually do the conditional, let's construct our message in the client. So for the client, we're going to do rednet.send. And now we need to send the ID, so 4, and then a table. Now inside of here, I'm going to specify 2 variables. Let's say a command, and maybe we want the turtle to go forward. And then how far? So we can do steps equal 5. Say this command tells turtle to go forward 5 blocks. Now in here, we can take this table and deconstruct it into usable variables. And by doing that, we do a conditional statement. So if data, now we have data as our variable here, and then our variables inside this table is CMD and steps. So since we expect there to be a CMD variable, we can do if data.cmd equals forward, then we are going to do the steps, go forward the amount of steps. Now we can do a loop, a for loop, I equals 1, and then data.steps. Now inside of here, obviously it's not a turtle, so I'm not going to have it move forward. I'm just going to go ahead and print data.cmd, comma I. And it should just say forward and then the iteration that it is on. So let's run this. Server and client 3. It has been sent. And now you can see that the for loop has ran 5 times because 5 steps. If we change this to 10, I would expect that is going to change. Now it ran 10 times. So you can have however much data you want in here, and you can send the entire table. It is no problemo. We'll put it right there. And inside server, we're going to essentially, well, we're going to send the same information. We're going to make the command open, and instead of steps, I'm going to say timer, and we're going to let it be open for 3 seconds. Now, once we get that, we'll go in here. We're going to say this is open, and instead of steps, it's going to be timer. Well, actually, we don't even need a for loop anymore. We can delete that. So if the command is open, we're going to set a redstone signal, rs.setOutput, left, true, and then sleep for data.timer, and then we'll close the door. Let's go ahead and run it. Client 3 has the command. Oh, the door is now open and is closed. I hope this was helpful. With this knowledge, you should be able to do stuff over Rednet. You should be able to send some commands from one computer to another. I use this frequently for making like door locks. There's even the pocket computer that you can use, like a little tablet to open the door with, like wirelessly. It's pretty nifty. If you want to know where the modem is, it's on the back. So you'll have to do Rednet open back and it'll work. Let me know if there's any other topics you want me to cover. As a reminder, definitely stop on by in the Discord server. We are looking into kind of reviving and starting up the modded Minecraft server back up. Come on down and join us. With that said, I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.